It is winter season, one of the most excruciating times to be homeless during those cold winter nights. The recent years, now in recent, let me say, flooding that has hit KwaZulu-Natal, exacerbating the housing challenges in that province. You remember that at least 400 people died from the initial floods back in April of 2022. Let's get an update now on what the situation looks like, particularly in the eThekwini municipality. We speak to the MEC of Human Settlements, Sipho Nkosi, who's going to talk to us alongside Mr. Sbu Zikode, the president of Abahlali baseMjondolo movement in South Africa. To both of you, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Can I start with you, MEC Nkosi, and ask for just an overriding question around what the housing situation looks like in eThekwini, or should we say the KZN region? You'll tell us which parts are perhaps most worrying for you. Do you think that you have done enough to shelter the homeless?
Thank you very much to you and your listeners. We want to indicate that the disaster that we experienced in April and May last year is something that has never happened before. During our lifetime, we saw it for the first time. But our government acted it where it took our own people and then accommodated them in the community halls. And there were 113 of such community halls that were involved. And want to indicate as well that through interaction with the national government, we're able to agree that we needed to create the TRUs, which were temporary structures, which are having a lifespan of not less than 10 years, which were built, and we built in overall 1,766. And thereafter, we realized that we needed to move that to better places, and then we have secured accommodation in the form of the flats, where 2,754 families had to move to those temporary emergency accommodations. And then in all, in the metro alone, we've got 10 of them and one in Msunduzi. So what then we are doing, we are looking for the permanent solution. And the problem of land in the metro in particular held us back. But want to declare now that we have received 13 land parcels so that our people are going there permanently. And then we are busy with the statutory approvals or compliance matters. We want to indicate that in the 2 of the 13 land parcels, then we have concluded the EIAs, and then the challenges on the issues of diploma with eThekwini municipality. But want to indicate that there is understanding between 2 of us that they are going to speed it up. But when it comes to Msunduzi, as I've indicated, we've got 1 block of flats there, and then all the processes have been completed. What then we are starting in July is to build in that land parcel that we acquired for them. So that's what it is all about. But then we are looking forward. What will happen in case the future storms come to our own province? In eThekwini, we have acquired the Montclair Lodge, where we want to put in disasters, the victims of the disasters. So that's what we are doing. And then those who are new in the position, we are going to consult our own stakeholders. We received a letter from our leaders, from Abahlali baseMjondolo through Mr. Mohapi. And then we only received it yesterday after he made an inquiry. And then we are going to meet with them, because we want to meet every stakeholder so that we come with the solution together.
Mr. Nkosi, let me just quickly get this question from you. Are you saying that as things stand, those people that were affected by floods back in April of last year, are any of them still in community halls? Is that where they are being sheltered? If so, how many people are there?
The 24th of December, the Premier had given the instruction that she wants nobody that will be in the community halls, and then we needed to get the accommodation, as I've indicated, the temporary emergency accommodation, where we are accommodating that 2,574 in a number of areas around Durban. I've only visited only 3 big ones myself, which were the flats that were accommodating the students of the University of KZN. So that's what we want to indicate, that we are doing our best in order to make sure. But the families, the first group of families who were accommodated in TRUs, which I've indicated even the number, that there were 1,766 of them. So that's what we have done. And those temporary structures that we built, and now they are accommodating people for the not less than the period of 10 years, these TRUs that we spoke about. Okay. Unfortunately, the national government felt that they needed to be stopped, and we complied. That's why we look for the accommodation for them in the flats. If storms of whatever nature, and they are not going to lead to the loss of lives for those families, we are 2,754 that I spoke about.
All right, MEC, let me ask you to just pause there for a second for me. Mr. Zikode, let's bring you into the conversation. You've heard the MEC. He has said a mouthful. What are your concerns at the moment?
Thank you so much, and good morning to the MEC and everyone. Just to say to the MEC, congratulations for your appointment, and we want to welcome you, because this is the only means for now that we can engage with you. We appreciate that you have just received our letter, and hopefully we can sit together and address some of these very urgent challenges. Unfortunately, there has been so much challenge around the flood victims. People remain unattended, which is most disappointing. In number of communities, people are still without support from government. Yes, there are those who were relocated to flats, few to the RTUs, as the MEC has said. But the challenge that I want to articulate in this particular conversation is the disappointment that at this time last year, sometimes in July, the former Premier called us into a press briefing in Reservoir Hills, where he promised at least 3 pieces of land for the flood victims around Newlands, around Reservoir Hills. And there was one particular piece of land that was identified in Reservoir Hills where actually the press briefing was held. If you can go now, there's absolutely nothing that has been done on that particular land. And none of those lands that were promised were ever purchased, or there hasn't been any development. So that is our disappointment, that whatever is being told to the media and the public has become lies. So that is very disappointing. It is unfortunate that the MEC is still new, and we know that the former MEC has done absolutely nothing. In fact, he was never available for anything. So we have to start all from scratch to actually try and address the situation. But the situation is worsening, actually. I must say, it is not getting any better. It is worsening for people who are still squeezed with families, with their neighbors. Some remain homeless as we speak.
Mr. Zikode, can I quickly ask a follow-up question here? You're saying that the land parcels that were announced many months ago by the previous MEC, including the Premier, you're saying that that has not happened. The MEC that is on now says 13 land parcels have been identified. In fact, the environmental impact assessments that have been conducted, those have now been approved. Are you saying that that information is probably just that, information? It may prove not to be true with time.
Well, absolutely, there is no truth in that. In fact, I just want to say, if I was not respecting the MEC, I was going to say this is an old song we've been hearing over and over. There's absolutely no evidence to what the MEC is saying. The former MECs have been saying the same thing, but nothing has materialized. But moreover, if you want to hide the information from the public and do not engage key stakeholders such as Abahlali, we will deny this information because nobody has ever been engaged on this. Only when people are asked to answer, then they start saying things that have absolutely no substance. So we are not aware of all that information. It is unfortunately that the government that is supposed to be the government of the people is not engaging any of their stakeholders. So that information is only confined within the department, if at all exists.
MEC, how do you respond to what is being said, that the situation around housing in KZN, it's actually getting worse, and the land parcels you speak of, that's simply not true?
No, I would want to indicate just one thing, and that one thing is that the land parcels, 2 of them in Reservoir Hills specifically, have passed the EIAs. And what we are doing is to make sure that we are dealing with the SPLUMA processes by the local municipality, which is the metro. And then we're indicating that the other 11, they are in the process of being are in the process of following all those procedures and all the stuff. So immediately after the SPLUMA processes are done, we are going to do like Maritzburg, where we are indicating that we are going to start the building in July. That's what we wanted to indicate. Yeah. On the question of the meeting of stakeholders, I want to indicate once more that a certain Mr. Mohapi of Abahlali baseMjondolo wrote a WhatsApp to me, and I responded to him that I'm going to follow up on what was his concerns. Indeed, I followed up the PA and they confirmed that they received the letter. Then I asked for the acknowledgement, and then I indicated to Mr. Mohapi that we are going to come back to them so that we meet, because it seems as if they are proposing the meeting. I want to confirm to my brother, Mr. Zikode, that indeed you are going to meet with us at the earliest date. We are going to pave a lot in our program of the week, and then make sure that we accommodate them, because they are a major stakeholder. We want to indicate that we will even go with them to the sites if they wish to do so, and then produce evidence so that they feel happy. I understand why they are concerned. Because the members of the society really want the solution, and a permanent one, in this matter.
In less than a minute, Mr. Zikode, are you comforted by that reassurance?
Oh, yes, no, thank you very much to the MEC, and we have high respect and hope that he can actually turn things around, unlike the previous administration that actually did nothing.
All right. Sbu Zikode is the president of Abahlali baseMjondolo movement in South Africa, and alongside him is the MEC of Human Settlements and Public Works in KwaZulu-Natal. That's Mr. Sipho Nkosi. It's a concerning situation when it is being described as getting worse.